Oh wait, stop it. Oh, wait. Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Today at Embr. I am your host, head of communications with the Embr Project, Robb Vallozzi. I am joined by my co-host, head of strategy, and now co-chief executive officer, Jason Dominique. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic, Rob. Love
Awesome.
it, love it, love it.
I see you're back. I see you're back from the BVI. I am now post quarantine. Hopefully, the quality of this week's episode is ready to go. We are coming to you a day late, but that's all right. It's a special Friday edition. We have some really great news for you, Jason. How does it feel to be back in your hometown?
Well, I'm wearing extra layers, obviously, because there's a good 60-degree difference, and when I mean degree, I mean degrees Celsius. So, like the real barometer. Yeah, feeling great back home, but can't wait to go back. And yeah, the last week episode was super exciting. Going over why we're so bullish on what's cooking for 2022, and we have some little insights even more this week on it. So yeah, feeling amazing. How about you, Rob?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm happy. I'm finally COVID free and feeling good. So you guys make sure you
I'm t-
protect yourself out there. I'm sure it's a little bit different in
it,
Canada as well. Here in Florida is a little crazy, but now I'm back here running 100%. I'm excited about all the stuff that we have to talk about today. It's a great way to start the new year. I figured get all that nonsense out of the way and ready to kind of rock on all 12 cylinders here now for the 2022, which I think will be the year of Ember.
yeah, for sure. Awesome. Um, yeah, go
just to
ahead.
kind of just to kind of break some stuff down for you guys, we're going to be talking about today. A little bit later, we're going to be taking questions from you guys. If you're listening live, whether that's on Facebook or Twitch or even on our YouTube channel, make sure you guys leave a comment. Any of our moderators out there will be happy to get some questions to us. We're taking. We also want to talk about plans that we have when it comes to the buy button and our official name for that and our strategy moving forward. But first, Jason, I think we should talk about which is most important is that even though we are a small team, that now that we are ramping up and we are expanding and we're having some fantastic additions that we're bringing onto the team that I think the community would like to hear about and how that would affect our project moving forward.
Absolutely. So as we were mentioning, I think it was last week or the week before. Um, the focus going in this year will be entirely based around making sure we can hit our milestone, and to do so, we need to grow stronger in two areas. One is in our infrastructure in regards to customers, leads, all those sorts of things. So anything CRM related, and funnels and sales process and etc. And obviously, there's this idea where if you want to find the best talent out there, you need to you need to find the best headhunter. So we decided to beef up our team with a what we could call a head of people and culture, which will also basically lead the whole talent scouting. And that person, we're excited to present that person in the next coming weeks. But he's a friend of mine, and he has been leading tech teams for quite some time. Specializing specifically in most of the time he's beefing up whole tech teams specifically, not like other departments. That's
Mm-hmm.
his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so he'll be coming on board technically starting next week, and his principal focus will be on all the talent that we need in regards to development, um, and all that area of the business. But also, I think, which is something a lot of companies would consider, maybe not so important, even though things are changing. But when I meant, people and culture, it's really something that we truly believe is a fundamental thing that needs to be part of our business, especially considering, we've all been working remotely for almost 2 years now, when it
Hmm.
all erupted with the COVID. And I think that now businesses are starting to realize, obviously, this thing is not over. One thing's for sure, and the second thing is having a distributed team. If it wasn't important pre-COVID, it's 1,000 times more important right now to feel connected, even though
Hmm.
we're all around the world. So really establishing these core ideas of culture and team elements, and processes as well, to make sure that everybody feels part of something that is tangible, is something of high priority to us. So we're not doing it half-ass as usual. So next couple of weeks will be all about laying the right grounds for ramping up talent. So that comes with that. Yeah.
And I really think that you really can't understate the importance of company culture, and when people how they feel connected to one another, especially working remotely. This is something that in the beginning, behind the scenes, when this was first kind of in its incubator stage, when it came to Ember, one of the challenges that we had to deal with was when dealing remotely and putting on Slack, and a lot of us never, really any of us meeting face to face for the first time, and understanding what our culture is, and how what our work ethic and our workflow could be, where a lot of people felt like, am I doing all I should be? Am I contributing as much as everyone else is? Is there something I need to be, doing at this particular time? Do I feel like there's downtime? And these little things that, you really, on a micro level, that you really don't think of in a normal business setting. And to be able to have someone, spearheading an idea of culture and what our workflow is going to be, and how we all communicate with one another, and what those protocols are, to go from start to finish, and what the hierarchy is and chain of command. These are things that are just going to make us have the ability to just focus on deliverables, and moving forward at quickest pace possible, to being able to make sure we have products in people's hands, as opposed to trying to figure out these micro tasks, micromanagement, basically, that most companies want to avoid.
Yeah. This is most definitely something that we don't have time for. Micromanaging people, especially in this space, and at the speed that it's going. This is the last thing that we want to do. And ultimately, this is, even though initially during this pandemic, a lot of companies thought, doing the remote work, they need to be even more on top of things,
Hmm.
and be even more overseeing everything, because you can't really technically see what people are doing. I think our approach to it all has always been, how can we be even more hands off? Like, that's always been the focus. And ultimately, if someone doesn't fall in line with this sort of culture and management style, we see it very rapidly, because ultimately things aren't being met, and it's just not working. So our mentality in regards to talent, and I think this is something obviously we will crystallize with this person, is every time we hire someone, we try to hire as slow as we can, just to make sure we have the right candidate, and that the person also very well understand what it's all about. But as soon as we see that it's not working, um, we end the relationship as soon as possible, because we just don't
Hmm.
have time to onboard and make up for those sort of culture differences.
Hmm.
And Yeah, so
Uh,
definitely something that we're excited about.
Yeah, attrition is a huge problem. I mean, where I come from my normal day job, which was a huge, Fortune 100 company, billion-dollar organization, attrition. which is basically, for those that don't know, that aren't familiar with recruitment and hiring candidates, is a big issue within a business, because you have to bring people on. There's a time when you have to train them. And to see if they're going to work out, if it's a fit for them. It spends a lot of time, money, and resources. And on average, it takes a while to figure out if someone's going to be able to work with the company. So the fact that we can move fast, and I think also now with you being CEO and being able to have a lot of autonomous decisions, and your previous background, that you have these connections. So the people that we're bringing on, and we're going to talk about some of these positions as we get more in depth here, but you also have a personal relationship with a lot of these people, and it helps leave that idea of, is this person going to work out? Do we have to go this matter of attrition when it comes to moving forward, especially with these are pretty much critical core team executive roles.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when possible, of course, and bringing on some key roles, obviously, like everything that has to do with the management of a proper infrastructure CRM is absolutely mandatory if you want to scale fast, put in processes, automations, all those sorts of things, and funnels, sales process, but also people and culture. These roles, you can't go without them. And also there's a right timing for it. We couldn't have approached these individuals months ago because we weren't ready. So it's really timing it right. And you referencing where in regards to my new sort of role, it's yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that I've been spearheading for quite some time anyway. And like you're saying, it's just giving me some more leeway in regards to taking executive decisions on things. And I think it's since we're talking about HR and talent and what you meant by attrition and onboarding time and et cetera, I think it's a good opportunity and segue to talk about something that we're extremely excited about. And we sort of hinted at it, or I hinted at it, I don't remember, me or Andrew last week, which is in a specific area of our business, which is, design. And design has always been something it's something that's very difficult, where any business will tell you, in regards to design, you need so many resources, different talents to deliver a product, that it's very hard to have one person that covers all those sort of expertise. But then again, you can't ramp up 5 people at the same time. You have your art director, you have your UX UI specialist, you have the actual designer itself,
product
that
manager,
will, yeah, exactly. So all these roles, based on different projects that we have at different times, from the beginning, has always been something very difficult for us to sort of bring on, based on our needs. And so what we decided to do, and I think this is part of the core evolution of the space, where a lot of startups, they can go from one day not needing so much resources, but then giving the green light on a massive deliverable. And then how do you transit from, in terms of talent, from being okay, like you have what you need, and then the next day needing to ramp up big time on all the different facets to deliver great world-class product.
You'd be like bringing on a staff of 7-8 people overnight, and it's a Herculean task. It's almost impossible to do.
Yeah. And I mean, it is possible, but the onboarding time, the scouting, all those elements, necessarily what they mean is that it'll take you weeks, if not months, to get at the right cruising speed that you need to deliver that product. And then potentially by the time you've found that, that cruising speed, the next milestone may not need all these people. So then you need to scale down. So how do you find talent that are coming in just punctually, or so it made it very difficult for us to find the proper talent in regards to the whole sort of world class design. And so and also not um, just making sure that we still keep this high level of quality even though we're moving fast. So all this to say that we've been lucky enough to find this amazing company. It's a new startup. They just raised a huge, I think it's a Series A, and funny enough, their business model has been appealing for quite a lot of company. And one of the things that really sealed it for us is that one of the companies, because it's all about understanding our space, and sometimes just understanding the space and what are the realities and all those sorts of things, that's an onboarding time as well, because it's so unique. The crypto space is not your regular startup space.
Mm-hmm.
um, so them having, and this is where you sort of have the drum roll. They had Coinbase as a client, and for us, that really sealed the deal. Where we thought I think it's not going to be a hit or miss. I think it's going to be a hit. And obviously they're not cheap, but for us, it made a lot of sense to onboard this company, which is called Superside. And Superside's business model is basically they have a full suite of talent, and they build a team that you need overnight almost. There's obviously an onboarding time, but once it's onboarded, you have access to any type of talent for any type of project that you want to output extremely fast. And this is what we needed. This perfect blend of high quality talent, speed, and obviously track record. So we couldn't be happier. We're onboarding them right now. And this is basically going back to what I said, I think last week, is with this, it means that we're going to be delivering so much more, so much faster, but still without compromising on quality.
Yeah, not to mention also to have a track record in this space while also meeting all the other, prerequisites that you just mentioned. I mean, it really couldn't fall into place better. I mean, to be able to find someone's able to scale as we're able to scale down when we need able to do so, to be, there's a lot of people that are new to maybe entrepreneurship, balancing your budget and knowing when to spend resources, and you can just, without throwing money against the wall, and making sure everything goes okay. But for a company that's going to be able to be as reactive or as proactive as we can be reactive to the markets, that I think it's a perfect fit. And based on their track record, I mean, Coinbase is just one of their previous clients. I mean, if you look, they have a track record that I think is going to deliver a level of quality, and also to design, especially, there's we want to build a balance to where, especially when it comes to Embr.org or when it comes to our application, if we want it to be sleek and stylish, and we know who our key demographic is that we're trying to hit. I mean, there's a certain design language that they really appreciate, that we want to make sure that we follow that flat level design, but also too to have that level of ease of use, and to have a company that really checks those boxes and knows this space. They'll know that design language. They know what we're looking for. They know our demographic. This isn't just someone who's designing, when it comes to their design language and continuity, that doesn't meet our demographic requirements, because that's part of it. I mean, a lot of this business is, there's a part of that hype. There's a part of that fluidity. They want something to be sleek. They want something to be new. They want it to, feel really cool in your hands when it comes to, how you use it. And we have the technology behind it, but we also understand there's also that little, and you should know this word, that je ne sais quoi. I hope I'm saying that correct. That kind of wants to hit that, that X factor. And I think that with
Yeah.
them and our vision, I think we're going to be able to hit that.
Yeah. And in parallel to that, obviously, we still have our boutique agency that are currently working double time. Our team over there has been working so hard during the holidays, and they just delivered this morning their sort of game plan. And I was reading through it, and wow, I couldn't be more thrilled and enthused about what's coming. Some of these elements are things that we've hinted at, in the past, but can't wait to bring it out. Obviously, a lot of it has, to do with Embr.org. We've hinted at something, a couple weeks or a couple months back, where we have this huge, big project, something's called Embr Life, which is all about ambassador programs, and this is definitely coming up. So for the true hardcore believers of what we're trying to achieve, there's something waiting for you. A great reward and incentive program. But ultimately, I think that right now we're doubling down on, and as you've mentioned earlier in the introduction, Rob, which is this bite bot that has had a TBD name for quite some time, but now we're feeling quite confident that we found the right name.
And I think too, I'll let you announce the name too as well. But this is something that there's a lot that goes into a name, and we wanted this buy button to reflect not just what we're doing now, but everything we're going to be doing in the future. And we want this to really be able to set a standard. And we wanted the name of this product to reflect on our vision of what you're going to be able to do with crypto, with Ember, with BSC. When it comes to utility, I'll let you break down those details. But when it comes, people are like, why not just call it the buy button or MBuy or all these little names that kind of come with it we think are cheeky and fun and some of a little cliche almost. But I think that the one that we've fallen upon, I think, is really hits the mark of where we see where Ember is going and how powerful this is going to be. Jason, you want to another drum roll here? Do you want to go ahead and kind of break that down and why we chose that name and really what the name is?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's no like fireworks in regards to the name. I think it came down to make so fundamentally what we're trying to do with Ember is that we're trying to make it as natural and organic as any any sort of I don't want to say like e-commerce because that would be a wrong parallel, but the process of purchasing something, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a new pair of headphones, the natural and organic process of purchasing something, we believe that this is something that doesn't need to be reinvented. The sort of feeling of going through this flow of identifying what you're interested in purchasing, and then the whole methodology of in the steps that you're familiar with. We want these steps to be pretty much the same, because crypto, it's already starting with 5 or 6 things against it, in terms of general public opinion, all those sorts of things. And the last thing that we want is, and especially based on what we're currently trying to do, facilitating this process of purchasing tokens. The last thing that we want is that once you've acquired the interest and the enthusiasm of a potential investor, is that you lose them in this flow of purchase. So for us, once they've made this internal decision that this project, this is something I believe in, this is something I want to invest in, no matter the amount. Once they enter this flow, it needs to feel as natural as anything. So ultimately it comes down to what, if you look at other, if you make parallels of providers in that space, how do they call their products? And ultimately it comes down to it's a checkout process. And for us, we want it to be exactly the same thing, so we're calling it Ember Checkout. And what's great about it is that it says what it does. Ultimately, when we're going to be selling this product, when especially you, when Rob, when because you're currently in the process of doing a lateral move and about to head sales. It's and maybe you can hint on it as to why it's important, but it needs to feel like, oh yeah, of course I know what checkout is.
No, absolutely. And when it comes to the name, when we were talking about this internally in one of our meetings, is the name is really all about our B2B sales. This is business to business. What's going to appeal most to our potential business to business clients? Really, when it comes to B2C, or when it comes to the actual what consumers think, for that matter, it's just about brand recognition. Just having Embr there, just being familiar with our logo, for them seeing it. In
Powered by
reality,
Embr. This is going to be
yes, yes,
super simple. Yeah.
massive, yeah. So they on the consumer ends, they're not really care about what the name is. So when we wanted to project a level of simplicity and something that you can understand, in basically one word, the idea of checkout is something that with any person that's trying to start a project, makes complete sense to them. It also encapsulates more than just crypto. We've had Andrew on here last week, and we've talked about it before, is that we see a world where you can purchase anything with crypto. And the great thing about the technology, and we can kind of break this down a little bit right now, we're first starting on the BSC. This is going to have the ability to, you can obviously, let's say you have a project where someone wants to purchase their token, they can switch from BNB. They get to choose their preferred currency to be able to purchase whatever that potential project or product is that they're trying to market, and to be able to hit to their investors or to a consumer. And this immediately gives pretty much any token on the BSC utility overnight. And of course, we have plans to move to Manic and things that are going to be on this Ethereum blockchains, especially when Ethereum 2.0 starts rolling out. It's going to have some real backing to that as well. So the idea of it being a checkout checks all of the boxes more than just cryptocurrency. This is something that's going to, these are versions that are coming down the line, but we wanted to make sure that we had a name that speaks to all of our potential business, to business clients.
Yeah, well, Rob, you've definitely hinted at a few future versions of what we're about to release. So while we're at it, might as well clear things up. But yeah, as you all know, our initial sort of intent with the checkout is the same thing that we have on our website. We're packaging it up, and our goal is to make this, this product. You'll be able to license it and use it on your own website if you're a project leader. But I think where we wanted to introduce this next week, which is sort of the vision for checkout, as Rob is mentioning, is much wider than the token. And what this means is, and this is absolutely massive. So essentially, what and I'm trying to wrap my head around how I can announce this, but this basically checkout will enable any single e-commerce business that are selling either digital or physical good to include this process on their website, and essentially designate the type of currency they want to receive. And ultimately, you as an end user, you will go there and you can decide any, and what I mean any, could be like an old meme coin that you have but still has liquidity on the DEX. If it does still have liquidity, you can use it as as a means of payment. And our Embr checkout will do the work in a seamless, unknown sort of background way to send the actual currency. And what I mean by currency, I mean digital asset, whether it's, I guess most people will want to receive, stable coins. So, I could be the store and I would decide to receive, BUSD. And just like, when you go on a website and you have, let's say, a foreign credit card, let's say, have an Australian credit card and you go on this US website and
Hmm.
the price tag is written in USD, your credit card will be charged in USD, but the seller will not receive Australian dollars. He's going to be
No.
receiving USD, his desired currency. And this is the same sort of concept that we're bringing to DeFi. And if you haven't made the math, in your mind, in your head, eh, just like Rob just said, it's basically making any single digital asset, no matter the chain that will be, you know, compatible with Ember Checkout, um, a utility overnight.
Hmm.
So
And that even includes, whether it's a meme coin with reflections. I mean, I'm not sure why you'd want to use one, because they, coins with reflections are meant for holding, but those still tokenomics will still apply. But even some of these coins that their never intention was to be utility from the onset will now have utility. And on our business to business side, the person who's able to use the checkout, that's why we love this name checkout. It's just that easy. It's just your potential person client that you're marketing to, that they just check out. They able to use whichever currency that either they can be specified that they want to be exchanged from, and they're able to receive whichever currency they wish to in return. And all of this happens in the background, just like you would if I came to Canada and charged my Visa card at a coffee shop. The exchange rate and the fees and stuff that are applied with that all happens in the background immediately, and I get my coffee. And this is happening in our world on a daily basis already. So we're just applying, like you always say, Jason, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just really applying something that's common sense that has not been done in this space before.
yeah. And so expect to see this, in future versions, because right now,
Mm-hmm.
we're, packaging up our MVP, should be ready in about 10 days. But expect to see this in, and this is where we see our future versions, probably version 3 of this, of
Mm-hmm.
this checkout, where you go and you want to purchase something, just like now you're used to seeing pay with Visa, pay with MasterCard. Oh, now there's pay with PayPal. There's this extra button. Now you're seeing, buy now, pay later type of schemes. You're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
PayBright everywhere. You're seeing Sezzle everywhere. And why not have buy now with Ember?
Or check out with
This
Ember. Yeah, of course.
exactly. So you're going to see, because in the process of those future versions, the sellers will be able to generate buy buttons. And that buy buttons, they'll be able to customize it the way they want, and then it's just an embed code. They put it on their website, and it's done. The flow will begin as soon as the customer starts clicking on it. They connect their wallet, and basically, based on how much this product is worth, you choose the type of currency you have in your wallet. You press buy, voila, it's done.
and and
Um,
and I think also too is so people understand, this is also one of our many products that work in conjunction with. Remember, for those, I mean, it seems like it's been forever since our launch, but we also have our IDO launchpad. We also have the smart contracts built in for the vault, and we also have, when it comes to our crowd sale contracts, this is want to work in conjunction, and we have the ability to, with future iterations. And this is just, this is looking at a 30,000 foot, larger landscape of what you hope to see in the long-term future of how these products can interconnect. And then on top of that, down the line, and not to beat a dead horse, with wire and our ability to use fiat and how that'll also interact, I think that these, that kind of shows proof of concept of that all of the steps that we've taken with our products, little by little, they were all building towards a greater goal. And by
yeah.
having this buy button, I think is really gonna really build to light onto the general public of what Ember is really all about.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder, if you haven't listened in some of our previous shows, we did mention, what this means for your everyday token holder, because ultimately yes, we need revenue streams for the business if we want to scale it and get it everywhere with great utility. But out of the so you have your transactional fees that are baked in. There's nothing we can do about those, but we're going to be adding a service fee on top, and that service fee is sort of there's going to be an automated revenue split, and that split will go three ways. One of them is obviously pure revenue for the business, for operations and staffing, all those sorts of things, and etc. But also two other key things. One of them obviously is the one everybody's interested in, which is the buyback.
Mm-hmm.
Buyback is just going to be incredible for the token, because every single transaction that goes through that checkout has an automated buyback feature that goes and buys Embr tokens to add into the liquidity. And so that means huge amounts of transactions every single day. And the second thing is the give back, because we feel that as a project, it's important to give back, and by including the give back philosophy directly in something that we feel is going to be a staple in the space, but also it's all going to happen in the background. We want our sort of charitable endeavors to have some form of guaranteed and constant revenue stream, so that there is no doubt that our endeavors and the promises that we will make to these great causes, whether they're and also we did mention that all of this will be done through sort of a DAO approach, again, giving more voice to our community in regards to deciding the themes of where the efforts are going to be put into, and then deciding the distribution of those funds, etc. So this is going to be an exciting roadmap and endeavor that we intend on launching very, very shortly. Again, incentivizing the token, making sure that the
Mm-hmm.
token not only has worth but has voice.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose. You don't have to, just like voting. You have this. In your own country, you have the opportunity
To
to use your
participate, yeah.
voice. Yeah,
Hmm. Or
exactly.
you have,
But
you
you
also have the opportunity to not. If you just, if it doesn't matter to you, you have the ability to
yeah,
kind of sidestep. But at least we're bringing in the community, and also on that level of automation. And I'm not going to call her out, but my sister works in academia and she works in development, which is a fancy word for fundraising. And when it comes to endowments and these people that are being philanthropic, they spend a lot of time, money, and resources reaching out to potential people that want to be able to give an endowment and to deliver, people that are alumni in the past. They spend a lot of money and resources, where something like this with our give back, it doesn't require any resources. We're not spending any company revenue or company finances to hire an entire team to do this. Where a lot of these people, a lot of organizations or corporations, they, do these give back programs, but a lot of it is really just for marketing and publicity. But they spend a majority of the budget of the money they're raising on hiring these people to do this work. And instead,
yeah,
we have this done all automatically in the background, where the entire portion of what's supposed to be done for philanthropic endeavors goes exactly where it needs to go. And to have that running in tandem with our buyback, to where it's going to incentivize, for token hold, people that, that are investors in our project and investors in our token, to where they'll see the level of liquidity raise, where there'll be massive gains from this. And for these things to be happening in tandem, I think this is also unprecedented in the space.
yeah. You're absolutely right. Again, our goal here is, as much as we can't reinforce it more is, we're in this for the long run. We're building a sustainable business, and if we're going to do something, no matter what it is, it's always going to be well thought through. How can we make sure that it's governed? It's also, it has the right incentives. It's connected to the token. We're never going to release anything that makes no sense. And sometimes it's going to take time, just to make sure that
Mhm.
it does make a lot of sense and it fits in the wider picture of everything. And checkout is, it's something that's part of it's part of what we could call a payment suite of applications, of SaaS applications. And it's all about empowering, these projects, and making sure that the core um, asset that powers their business, which is the token, just like us, is can be purchased extremely easily and in a very organic manner. This will be obviously complemented by many other different tools, like you've just mentioned, Rob, because Embr, .org will include in seamlessly in it. It's not going to be, I'm clicking on the launchpad. This is not going to be like this thing where you click, Embr launchpad. It's
Yeah.
just going to be it's just going to be part of, it's going to be part of the evolution of any project that decides to go from ideation to launch. When they're ready to launch, it's just the features are in there. You just decide to launch and the features are there. So and this suite of SaaS applications, we want them to be available on demand, just like we would have wanted them to be on demand when we launched. And
Mhm.
this is our whole core philosophy, is that we want to help these entrepreneurs go from ideation to launch. And on the other side of the marketplace, we want to, create this amazing place where you can go and discover these, world-changing crypto projects easily. And then, from there, maybe you want to get involved and you want to learn more and you'll want to follow them, and when they launch, maybe you'll want to invest. So all this will be all baked in this one sort of ecosystem, which we see this as being your gateway to a decentralized world.
No, absolutely. And I think also too with something like Superside, where they're going to be able to deliver the design to, make this the front facing of the company be so attractive and make it easier for us to bring on potential, when it comes to the B2B side of business. And also, working with, in tandem with AII that we've brought into, with the comes to our copyright and the level, so we had the right language to be able to communicate this properly. These things all working together in unison are really going to put and separate us from everything that's going on right now. I mean, even just the products itself, on just a technical level, this is something that's not, like I said, we're not reinventing the wheel, but this is not being done in this space alone. But we want to do more than just have the technical aspect of it. And we want to, like, we brought in something like Superside, brought in AII. We want to have the language, we want to have the visuals behind it. And to go, full circle, what our conversation was talking about earlier today is that now, after the people you've brought on, so when it comes to doing recruitment, you can see our aspirations and how we want to scale up and why us hiring this position of someone, is, for people in culture, is also going to be, recruiter who really is specified in the tech world to be able to bring on, the development side of things, goes to show the next milestone that we're moving forward as an organization. So that's why I wanted to kind of start this conversation out talking about that hire. Is that's how important that hire is now that's the first step to us to ramp this organization up to be able to deliver on all of our aspirations pretty much in the first two quarters.
Yeah. I mean, I can't add any more to it, Rob. I think, this we've hinted way more at what we've wanted in this show, and hopefully everyone is, understands why we're so bullish about 2022. And ultimately it comes down to execution. But if you want to execute at this level, you need to make sure you have the right people. So again, playing a game of chess, just got to make sure you have your right people in the right places.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And we do want to kind of, before we end here, I know that when for those that are listening live right now, make sure that you always submit questions to us. We're always here to take questions from anyone in the community. You can always watch us live here on Facebook. You can watch us on YouTube. You're able to have the ability, whether that's on Twitch. And for those that don't have the ability to watch live, we have Discord channels. Reach out to the monitors. Please submit your questions. This question here, we have someone called Trash City on Discord. I love your guys' names. I mean, very professional. But and we also brought in someone as well that we've hired from within, and that it comes to business development. And this question, I think, kind of falls for you, Jason. I want to kind of get out there is that we've talked a lot about what our ideas are that we want to have launched within the first quarter. And this gentleman asked, though, these are some great things, and they're very bullish on it, but where does it fall on the priority list? Just to get an idea of how far out it may be, because it looks like to them, we are working very hard in the background to deliver deliverables. But something like the investors want to know, our exchanges are a huge priority. I don't want to name drop just yet, but we did bring in someone who does specifically this for business development. That's also part of our ramping up. Do you want to kind of add to that at all, Jason, and where that falls?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's no doubt it's extremely important for us. But I think it comes down to, I mean, exchange make a lot of sense when you want to make your asset, available in as many markets as possible, when you have high demand for it. So right now, as everybody knows, there aren't massive demands for our tokens, and ultimately, that doesn't mean it's not attractive. It's just that right now we're focusing 100% of our efforts on two things. One, making sure that we bring to market something that will essentially make sure that we're self-sufficient. Right now, we're running on what we would call, there's an expiry date with what we have. We've raised our seed round during our 2 pre-sales, and that is meant to take us to what we would call, our market fit. And that market fit normally has revenue next to it. We're not a Facebook where we intend on running for 10 years without revenues, and raise extreme, rounds of capital and let go equity and equity and then equity and then equity. That's not our goal. We want to be self-sufficient as early as possible in our sort of journey. So as soon as we get there, it means that we'll be able to allocate from that revenue stream budget for exchange. From there, as you know, this checkout product, once it's going to be out there, it's going to bring extreme visibility to our project. And with extreme visibility will come, people that want to buy it. So essentially, we need to diversify where it is possible to buy it. But, we'll see when we get there, because we are reinventing, or at least we are modernizing this experience of token purchase. And, at the end of the day, yeah, we'll see when we get there, because, bottom line is being on an exchange, it's very costly. And there are exchange for every single market. So you can easily spend $1 million, on exchanges. And I think that you would all agree that in exchanges won't give us any revenue. I mean, it's not for us. It's not a money making thing for us, as a project. So, I mean, as much as we can, spend $1 million of the 2.5 million that we've raised, But what are we going to do with people trading our asset if we don't have any money to build utility? I mean,
And
we'd
also
just
too,
be
and
behind.
yeah, and also too as well, and you know this coming from the traditional business world, I guess is the best way to say it, is that there's no other markets that operate in this fashion where pretty much we're working in reverse from how the actual real world works. When it comes to when we want to see ourselves as an actual real, we're not just a token. This is a tech company. This is an organization. We want to be able to, and like any other regular organization, you generate revenue, you build, have a model, you have a certain consumer base, you have a brand identity. Those things have consideration. And for those that are familiar with business terms, consideration is anything of value, including brand recognition, how people feel about your company and your organization, the track record you've had. That's consideration. And because it has value, that's how people value you when you go onto an exchange listing like an IPO on the stock market. Those things are always established beforehand. Revenue stream, your revenue model, how profitable you are. Only in the crypto space do you work in reverse, where everything is pretty much vaporware in the beginning, and then you list it onto an exchange. So it would make no logical sense to spend money and resources without have on exchanges to get listed for people to buy without having that consideration that's already in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, and ultimately, our bottom line, our goal is to be on Binance. I mean, we've said it
Mm-hmm.
before. I think you know our fundamentally, our goal is to make Embr so attractive that Binance will be knocking on our door,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where we want to be listed. And you
Everything we've
can't pay,
done
and
is
you can't
working
pay
towards
for
that.
that. You can't
Mm-hmm.
pay to be listed on Binance. So you need to make your business extremely attractive. And it's not by listing on many other exchanges that you're going to make your business attractive to Binance. To make your business attractive to Binance, your business needs to make sense for Binance. If you're
Mm-hmm.
making BNB worth more, then you're extremely attractive. So this is our goal: be extremely attractive in the first 2 quarters of this year. And trust me when I say this, we will be in such a great position that Binance will be knocking on our door.
And not to mention with our products, and we haven't even talked about this episode. We talked about previously that we have coming out. We have staking 2.0 that's coming up in the first 2 quarters, along with liquidity pool staking, which also is done. All of these steps that we're taking are one of our largest goals is to be listed on Binance, and one of the ways to do so is make sure you have a lot of liquidity behind you, make sure you have a lot of transactions behind you, a lot of revenue being generated. And these are things that are all coming out in the first 2 quarters. Now, are we looking at other exchanges? We've talked about that, Asian markets, etc. Of course we are, but you can see why we have these other priorities first. And then, of course, then our biggest one that will fall that we hope to come to fruition, especially as soon as possible, is Binance. And we've been setting this up from the beginning. That's why we chose the BSC. If you've watched previous episodes, we've talked about the money that Binance is investing into bringing credibility back to the BSC and where they see themselves moving forward in the future as well. And we've talked about that. And I think that it really shows that we have, as you said before, playing chess where we have a goal in mind, and there's just certain things that we have to do to be able to get there.
Yep.
Jay, listen, I think we're about out of time here. Do you want to add anything else here? You want to drop anyone or any information you want to say to the rest of the community before we get out here on our first official episode of 2022?
No, I think we've said enough. We said more than we planned. So hopefully everyone's excited. Next week is again, we'll have to find a new agenda for next week's show. Have to reveal some new things, but yeah, pretty excited. Maybe you want to add something, Rob, about building, ramping up this checkout because.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned here at the beginning of the podcast is that someone that we've kind of glided over, but I don't think people understood the importance is by bringing on a CRM manager. And CRM is to be able to build this infrastructure underneath. We brought them on specifically. I am great at being director of sales, being able to put together strategies, but be able to have the support. And that's why I really appreciate what you guys there are doing on the executive team to be able to support me by bringing someone on who is a professional, is a full-time job, being able to do the CRM. So we're ramping up. You guys, please, if there's someone out there that if you feel that you have the proper prerequisites and experience to be a part of this, to ramp up all of our our sales force that we're doing, we're going to have some really great infrastructure in place to support you. Like I said, we have a CRM manager. This is something that only large organizations be able to provide. Comes with great training as well. We're going to have some fantastic compensation packages I think you guys would be interested in. So please reach out to me. We don't want to have 100 people doing a small amount of work. We're really looking for one or two high level professionals that they say in the sales world are killers, that are able to work and grind out and reach out to us. And you can do that at rob@embr.org. I used to be at rob@joinembr.org. As you know, we've talked about previously, we are retiring that. It'll obviously mirror in the future, but reach out to me, rob@embr.org. I have people here that are going to be able to to be able to give you support and help you move forward and be successful. In addition, for those of you that are listening that want to have your project, that want to be involved, that want to be on a waiting list here, because right now, like, we really only want to service some of the top projects that we think that will fit with Embr Checkout. So we'll be releasing a form here shortly. You'll be able to sign up, sit on the waiting list. We want to have a great waiting list built up for when this project launches, so we can start having this deliverable to multiple people at once, and to be able to get this revenue stream rolling and having your project be as successful as possible. Our moderators will be releasing that. It's a very simple form to fill out. We're going to have, in the future, some confirmation to make sure that you are who you say you are when you want to be the head of the project, and you're going to be able to utilize that. We're going to have some redundancies in place, some security redundancies, to make sure that everything's above board. But make sure you fill that out. We'll have someone reach out to you with some amazing pitch decks that we're going to show you here in the future. Also, some great videos we have being released also as well, to give you some more information and make it more palatable for the average consumer and for people that are in crypto. So make sure you guys keep a lookout for that, and we'll start rolling this out here within the next week. Jay, you want to add anything to that at all?
No, you said the final words.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, listen, this has been Today at Embr. I am your host, head of communications, soon to be just director of sales. I'm brought to you also with our co-host, Jason Dominique, who is our co-chief executive officer. You can always catch us here normally. That's Thursdays at 2 p.m. live on Facebook. That's Twitch. You can also reach us on YouTube, along with any of our podcast formats. If you don't reach us live, of course, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We're always available for you. You can always reach out to me at rob@embr.org. Jason, it's been a real pleasure. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the rest of our community, guys.
All right, thanks.
Adios.
See you next week.